It's a lawsuit that has been filed against a New Orleans charter school where a mother claims that the discipline that her son had to endure was just too harsh, that it crossed the line from being discipline to being abuse. Now, to help us discuss this case, we're lucky enough to have with us the attorney who actually represents the family. And I'll give a little disclaimer. Of course, he's not going to be able to speak about the details of the case as it is an ongoing litigation, but just to let us know what it is that is being claimed in the lawsuit and what happens next. I have the honor of having John William Redmann with us. And John is an attorney and a notary public with his law practice based in New Orleans, where he represents clients anywhere in the U.S., though. And his practice is focused on representing individuals who are injured and businesses that are damaged financially through no fault of their own. So thank you so much, John, for being with us here this afternoon.
Ada, un placer muy grande estar aquí con usted y todos los que están escuchando. This is John Redmann. A big pleasure to be with you. Always important to discuss when anyone is injured. Let the public know as much as we can. I have to be discreet with the specifics of this case. I look forward to this discussion. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Está muy bueno tu español, John. Hablas perfectamente.
Bueno, mi madre, que está en el cielo ahorita, era de Mexico. I'm very proud of my Mexican-American heritage. Mexican through my mother. Rest in peace.
Qué bien, con razón hablas también. Bueno, John, I thank you so much for being with us. And, you know, this case I found it to be a very interesting case because I think a lot of parents wonder sometimes when their kids come home with horror stories of something that may have happened to them, whether they just need to put up with it or if they believe that it has crossed the line from being just discipline to being abuse, can they do something about it? So can you tell us as much as you can, basically, just with what's out there, what's public knowledge regarding this case? What is it that's being alleged in this lawsuit against this New Orleans charter school?
Well, the lawsuit is a matter of public record, so I don't mind telling you basically what is alleged in the lawsuit. I obviously want to be very careful and mindful of the professional rules, which I adhere to very carefully. And in general, I want everyone to understand that every case is different, and the public needs to be mindful that there are two sides to every story. I advocate for the family in this case. But in general, what is alleged is that a boy here who was not yet 7 years old, he was 6 years old, was in a New Orleans public school. He was a special needs child, as we say, with special needs. He was a perfectly adorable child in general, but with special needs, a bit of hyperactivity issues. Certainly a child that needs special attention. The school had a plan in place of how to address the child when he's refusing to sit in his chair, refusing to focus and stay on task. And the lawsuit alleges that this child was not only not properly addressed when he was, again, not staying in his desk, not responding to the teacher's request that he stay in his desk, but was mistreated physically, that he was put in a closet, and really shocking to anyone who is a parent, such as I am, and I think most of your listeners probably are, was actually the New Orleans police were summoned and actually had handcuffs put on him, which
that's outrageous.
Is the reason why the case has gotten some national attention.
Absolutely. You know, I just spoke on our program. We just spoke last week about another child about the same age, 6 years old, that had been handcuffed as well and taken to a police station. It was a little girl in that case. And it just seems, do you see, I don't remember hearing about incidents like this, you know, several years ago. Perhaps they were around and we just didn't hear about them so often. But have you seen other cases like this where children as young as 6, 7 years old, the school police is being called and they're being handcuffed?
Regrettably, I have, and let me also say this. The case is a hot-button topic because out of respect for many teachers who devote themselves, it's an avocation. It's not a job. It's a calling for teachers who want to help these underprivileged children, and they want to help them and help them get an education against all odds. A lot of times the teachers don't have all the support that they need, and it's extremely frustrating. Some of these children really are a handful. They kick, they bite, they pull hair, they want to fight each other. Some of them really are scary for the teachers. And a lot of the people who have commented on local websites about this, without really trying to say it's justifiable to take two adults to manhandle a child, they almost want to justify it in other ways. The topic is a hot-button issue because you don't want teachers to feel like they are under siege. So I have respect for the teachers who have to deal with, at times, terribly frustrating situations. But let's keep the focus on the child. The schools have, especially with special needs children.
I was about to say that.
The child who walks and talks, put the focus on the child and the plans in place to how to discipline them and how to keep them from hurting themselves, the teachers and others, when they are acting out.
Yeah, especially because, I mean, I can only imagine the trauma that this child has gone through, being, 6 years old and being handcuffed and being manhandled. The way that these allegations come out are pretty horrific. Now, New Orleans Charter School is not the only defendant in this case, though. Not only just the school, there's other defendants. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, the New Orleans police, obviously, they're the ones with handcuffs. The security guards, the security guards at the school don't carry handcuffs, as I understand it, and at the schools in general don't. I don't know why the NOPD were called. And if they were called, they don't take orders from school supervisors, I would imagine. But in general, adults should be adults and behave as adults at this school or any school. The NOPD are parties to this suit because it is alleged, and I personally wasn't there, so I have to rely on what other people say happened, and there are other adults who are witnesses who say they saw certain things happen. The NOPD, the superintendent of the police.
Now, I understand.
The way our laws are written, we have to name certain individuals, like the city of New Orleans is sued because that's the way our laws are written. We have to put it that way.
Now, John, I understand that this particular child's family has presented lawsuits in the past that were part of a class action as well.
Well, it's regrettable how the article was written. It almost makes it sound like these are opportunistic people who file a lot of lawsuits. This child, who is, again, 6 years old at the time of the event, was involved in another class action on behalf of other students who were not being properly protected and cared for according to the class action. That's the only other lawsuit with respect to this child in a situation such as this. And
well, thanks for clarifying that. Yeah.
Whether or not that child was in a car accident as a toddler, I can't tell you as of the time of this incident whether or not something like that had happened. Not to my knowledge or recollection, right. But it's got nothing to do with nothing.
Well, thanks for clarifying that. And John, I thank you so much for coming on our program, and you promised to keep us, let us know what happens in this case. I'm very interested to follow along this case and let our listeners know what comes out of it, perhaps some change in how the schools deal with these children. I hope so, if these allegations are true, that there is a change. And again, John, I want to give you the opportunity to give your law firm's website for our listeners.
Thank you. We'll be posting more information about it. It's www.redmannlaw.com. Redmann is R-E-D, M as in Mary, A-N-N, law.com. RedmannLaw.com. And please call me back, and I'll keep you posted.
Muchísimas gracias, John. Y bueno, gracias a Iracema Torres, mi productora, Cristina Radio en los controles, y a ustedes por escucharnos. Recuerde, mañana a la misma hora, en el mismo lugar. Court is adjourned. El tribunal está en receso.